Good day, Bravehearts. I'm Dr. Darrell Wolf, and you are on DocStar TV. Now, I wasn't going to do a one-a-day today because today Lori and I, and we left very early this morning, and we did a training, and we helped someone that is a health professional that is in the field of working with fibroids and tumors, and I displayed on how to take a tumor apart. You heard what I said. I displayed and showed with Wolf Non-Surgical on how we can reduce fibroids and tumors. They're the same thing, basically they are now. But, years ago, like about 15, 20 years ago in the business, they said tumors were the mutated kind and the benign kind were the fibroids, okay? But now they call them all tumors because it's all about scare tactic. Now, my one-a-day today is about, here, I'm just going to wave to some people here. How you doing, guys? So my one-a-day today is humans make great slaves, don't they? Seriously? Let me just tell you something. We have been under the spell of ignorance for not 10 years, not 100 years, not 1,000 years, but hundreds of thousands of years. Human beings, yes, you heard what I said, hundreds of thousands of years, human beings have been under the spell of ignorance. When I was younger, I used to look at the Bible a lot. My father was a born-again Christian pastor, and I used to see when they had those big, what did they call them? Those woolly mammoths, right? They were huge with the horns, and they were pulling the rocks up to make the pyramids, and then all of those slaves were helping to build the pyramids. Well, that's BS, okay? Those pyramids were not made that way. Those pyramids, well, for one thing, you could never even do that. They were too heavy. Understand something. Everything is a lie out there. The only thing that is actually the truth is nature, okay? Is nature, all right? The God that they shoved down our throat doesn't even exist. The God that they shoved down our throat doesn't even exist. And guess what? Human beings make great slaves. Oh, yes, if you don't follow these rules, these laws, these commandments, you're going to go to hell, okay? You know what? When I was younger, I need to tell you that I would go to bed banging my head because I didn't know if I passed the test. I used to ask my father, he was a carpenter, a born-again Christian pastor, what is it that I need to do to ensure I go to heaven? And he couldn't tell me. He couldn't tell me. And you know what? He would give me the commandments and say, you need to follow them. But he couldn't tell me. I say, okay, well, today, how did I do? Do you think, how did I do? He couldn't tell me because he didn't know. Because the whole thing is made out of BS, a dysfunctional belief system. I'm going to tell you something. I was talking to a lady today, and this beautiful lady, she lived in Pakistan. Her father was from Pakistan, and then they moved from Pakistan and they moved to Canada. But it doesn't matter, okay? Because guess what? The man in the family, okay, you have to listen to him. He is God's law, God's truth. Let me do some therapeutic vomiting here, okay? I'm going to tell you something right now, okay? We are such slaves. I'm going to tell you this right now. Why would we, as so-called human beings, why would we ever go to a practitioner that sells us mustard gas? You do know that's chemotherapy, right? Mustard gas, okay? You do know that the success of using mustard gas is 2.3% after 5 years. And understand something. If you think that my percentage is like that with working with people, I would quit the business. Would you hire an accountant that said, there's a 2.3% chance I'm going to get your taxes right? Would you go to would you take your car somewhere? But I'll tell you one thing, you would send your mother, you would send your father, because guess what? You are under the spell of ignorance. And that's the God's truth. We can be enslaved so much. Now, here's something, okay? I already know the taxes are illegal, okay? I already know that we don't need to have any kind of currency on this planet because everything is God-given. Everything is from nature. There's enough water. I just love this part, right? You'll go down and look at the fields. And we were driving today, right, honey?
Yeah.
And there was fields of just grass. They weren't growing crops. And the water was just going and going and going. What a bunch of crap. Okay, you know what? I'm not upset. You guys got to know that this is one big joke down here. You know, I'm a Braveheart hero. There is no authority over me. And understand something. The more that somebody says that they're an authority over me, they're a moron. They're a moron, and they are under the spell of ignorance. And guess what? They're so fearful that they will believe anything that they're told. And guess what? I don't need anybody. Okay? I got myself, all right? And I am never going to follow anybody that has anything to do with the government or anybody that's got to do with these psychos, okay, that have been trying to harm the herd. Now, understand this. You want to talk about the living in the spell of ignorance. Look at the majority of the population. I'm going to tell you something. If you said to me, Dr. Wolf, is there one thing that, one tip that you could give me, just one tip? Never do what the majority does, because guess what? They're always there too late, and they're way too early before we find out that they're being harvested. And understand something. We are in the greatest harvest, and they're harvesting us because guess what? First of all, let's make this perfectly clear. Okay, the U.S., okay, I love the United States, so please don't get me wrong. But the U.S. right now, not the people, but those same psychos that have been controlling and the puppeteers in America, you know what? The U.S. dollar is going on its way out. And this is why all the wars are going on in the world, because these psychos don't want to give up the U.S. dollar. They're called the bankers, right? The bankers of America. And the reality is now we've got, I don't want to even get into the political part of it, but guys, you know what? They're going to be lying to you and justifying why they have to do this and why they have to do that. Don't participate. Do not participate. And you know what? You want to talk about slaves? We all know that going into a drive-through runs us over. We know that 98% of all the food that's out here right now in this world is poisonous, carcinogenic, okay? But we all eat it. I mean, you can't go anywhere, and you absolutely cannot. You cannot go anywhere without seeing the obesity. Right now in the United States, obesity, depending on where you go, what state, it's 40 to 60% of the population. 1 out of every 3 children are obese. I mean, is this calculating for you? I hope you're understanding this. So yes, human beings make great slaves, and I'm going to tell you why. Are you ready? Because the brain is 90% subconscious. 10% is the conscious mind. Now, you're going to tell me that God created human beings, and I'm going to tell you that human beings were manipulated in a laboratory hundreds of thousands of years ago. And you're going to go, okay, I'm not going to listen to this crack job anymore. I mean, hundreds of thousands of years ago, all they had was clubs and rocks. Okay, so hundreds of thousands of years ago, the human brain was manipulated. And so why would anybody need to have 90% of their brain a subconscious, what basically all it does is run programs, and then 10% of your brain is in the conscious part. And guess what? How many people know that the majority of the population are only 2% in the present moment? Really? Okay. Seriously? Okay. I got to tell you, when you start practicing being in the present moment, you're going to get to see how everybody operates. And how does everybody operate? Well, it's called this, okay? React and attack. That's what it is. React and attack. Nobody knows how to connect to their breath, okay? And because the majority of the population eats a certain way, drinks a certain way, thinks a certain way, that's the way it's going to be, okay? Right now, Lori and I are strategizing, okay? Aren't we, honey?
We are.
We are pivot and give it. And we are changing our whole business. My whole business is changing, And in the last week, we've made major changes, like huge, right? You can talk to my staff. Is Dr. Wolf making major changes? Well, of course I'm going to. Because guess what? This is the greatest time in history to be alive. And if I'm smart, okay, and if I mind my own business, okay, and if I love and care for myself, okay, I am going to come through this whole thing, which I believe is going to not be really, we're not going to be out of this thing until 2032. That's my guesstimate. 2030, if we're really lucky, and there's no such thing as luck, okay? You don't get lucky, you make lucky, okay? But the reality is this, is we won't get out of this thing until 2030, but I think around 2032 we're going to come out of this, and then we're going to see peace again. We are going to see wars. We're going to see I believe we're going to see an illusionary third world war, okay? And understand something. What is the greatest way to enslave someone? It's through fear. It's through fear. And I know you don't believe me, but I have no fear. Do I have fear, honey?
No.
Do I have any fear?
No, no.
I don't go around picking fights. There's a difference, right, honey?
Yeah.
Like, we aren't going to go over there to try to antagonize or try to make our point known. I mean, it's like this, okay? You know, Dr. Wolf, you don't know anything. You're just stupid. Okay, you're right. You're right. Because I'm going to stay happy, and you get to be right. Because, you know what? I am stupid sometimes. You know, it's like this. I never lose, but I'm willing to learn. Because nothing to me is losing. And trust me, as far as physical things or money, I've lost a lot of it, haven't I, honey?
Yeah.
Because guess what? I roll the dice. I do crazy things, don't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Lori's along for the crazy ride.
It's worth a shot.
And she's off to Whole Foods right now, okay, to do some shopping. And I'm going to hang out here with you guys, okay? Is that all right? Okay?
Have fun.
Yeah. See you, sweetie. Somebody says you're looking healthier. Guess what I did? Okay? I got a facelift. No, I didn't. I didn't get a facelift. I'll tell you what I did do. I did get a facelift because I stopped drinking coffee, didn't I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Like, I don't drink any coffee, and I don't have any bad habits. And, well, there might be some bad habits, like, you know, that people might not like about me, but I like me. And I'll tell you why I had to quit drinking coffee. That's why, okay? I had to feed my spirit. There was no more of this. You know, we're always trying to search for our authentic self. And you have to understand something. And I'm going to bring it up. And this is not political, guys. Please, so don't say this to me. Okay? Don't do this to me. Okay? I'm going to tell you something. You know, the Rothschilds, okay, they are the head family. And they signed a pact with an entity. I don't want to get into it because I don't want to blow people's brains, and you know, people are going to go, you know what, I was just starting to like him. He taught me about food combining, but now he's telling me that our brains were actually genetically engineered like 100,000 years ago or more, and now there's this one family called the Rothschilds. Well, yeah, and they've been in charge since back in the Egyptian days. So if you had all that time to strategize, what would you do? You would be enslaving the whole world, wouldn't you? That's right. You know, and that's what they do. And guess what? The majority of the population out there and the majority of people on here, and God love you, and I mean that, you don't even know how to strategize a perfect day. From the moment you rise until you close your eyes. You don't know. And you know why you won't ever? Because guess what? You're going to go to hell. If you love and care for yourself, unconditionally, that's what I teach. I teach unconditional love for oneself first and foremost before anything else or anyone else. And that's it. Once you do that, you don't hurt people. But don't worry, you're going to piss them off. You're going to piss a lot of people off. You're going to piss mommy and daddy off. You're going to piss your kids off. I pissed everybody off. When I started getting into this unconditional love, okay, my children's mother would call me Jesus and Buddha, and she would just be like, just mocking at me. And that's what people are doing. I'm not some airy-fairy, flower-selling guy talking about peace, because there's only inner peace. when you have inner peace, and when you unconditionally love and care for yourself, and there's no authority for you on this planet, you have only made step one. You've only made step one. Love myself, not my psoriasis. Okay, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to hang around with you guys until Lori comes. The only reason why you have psoriasis, Claudine, is because, guess what? On an emotional level, what got under your skin years ago? On a physical level, this is because, listen, Claudine, you're pooping in your pelvis, girl. Now, let me explain something. So you've got a bit of a belly on you, and if you don't, then your intestine is twisted inside. Now, what happens is, you will not get psoriasis. Are you ready for this? Nobody would have psoriasis if they didn't have antibiotics. No one would have psoriasis if they didn't have antibiotics. Now, antibiotics are in dairy, cheese, milk, yogurt, and I just love you guys how you go, I eat Greek yogurt because it's so much better for you and the bacteria. Well, just know this. It's cow's bacteria, which is not good for humans, and it's dead because that's what pasteurizing does. You know, we have been dumbed down so much, and we will stay slaves as long as we stay ignorant. And if you don't want to get that everything is a lie out there, then guess what? Then you will cry and justify and blame everybody else for your pain and your suffering. Yeah, let me tell you something. So anyways, let me tell you about the psoriasis. So eczema is the baby brother of psoriasis. There's no difference. It's just that it's worse because you've got a chronic illness. Think about this, guys. The majority of the population, and how much of the majority of the population? 92% of the population has a chronic illness right now. And do you know what chronic illness means? That means that you've been going to a dumbass practitioner. Because understand something, nobody can figure it out. So you're just gonna start having messages from your body, okay, saying you're out of alignment, okay? The reason why you have a disease is you're not at ease, you're out of alignment with loving and caring for yourself, you fell for the BS, okay? Those messages then become symptoms. Those symptoms just get worse. Does everybody know that cancer is just a symptom of going to someone who doesn't understand unconditional love and care and says that you need to take massive personal action and be the one that loves and cares and heals for you? No. People just don't get this, do they? And cancer, the C in cancer, just stands for corruption, contamination, and conflict. Okay? And I'm going to tell you something. The corruption starts here in the subconscious, the whole programming. Okay? And then the conflict is you fighting with yourself, thinking that God has left you behind or doesn't care for you. You have breast cancer. Well, it depends on what breast. Okay? So if you've got breast cancer, Claudine, oh, wait a minute, Claudine, you've got eczema and psoriasis too. So no, guess what? But we can call cancer a fungal infection too. You do know that, right? Because everything stems from infection to inflammation. And when you have inflammation, you lose your immune system. So if I had, let's say immune system is 100%. If I've got 50% inflammation, then I've lost 50% of my immune system. Do you know how much energy it is to fight all that inflammation? And understand something. Here's the deal. I'm going to talk to you about Claudine, and I'll come back to do some other things here, and I'll see what other questions are here. Are you ready? Okay. So, Claudine, you've done antibiotics. You've eaten animal products. Every animal product that isn't organic and free range is full of antibiotics, and when you take that in, you take the frequency of those antibiotics. Antibiotics could save a life in a life-threatening situation, but if you're taking them and you don't have a life-threatening situation, you're going to have a life-threatening situation. So you better take that one to the bank, because that's you got to do this. You got to understand this. Now, so here's the deal. When you take antibiotics, I'm going to take, people will take antibiotics for an eye infection. You could use my Bright Eyes and it would be gone. Okay, they'll do it for an ear infection. So you're going to take an antibiotic that you have an ear infection or an eye infection or a sinus infection, okay, or you have some kind of infection in your body. You're going to take an antibiotic that's going to go down into your mouth, go down through 30 feet, get into your large intestine, and blow your bacteria up. Because it's like this. Right now there's a war going on, and tell me that they're only getting the bad guys. Oh yeah, right, whatever. You know what? They're going to tell you what you want to hear. Everything is a lie out there. So when you take an antibiotic, it goes down and it kills the bad bacteria, but it kills good bacteria And how many people know this? An antibiotic vibrates below 0. Did you? Okay, so everything is a frequency. Let's take a look at it this way. Do you believe that an apple vibrates higher than a donut? Do you? Well, how do you feel after you eat a donut? How do you feel after you eat an apple? So everything is about vibration and what amount of light, how high is the frequency vibration in the product, and how much light is in the product. So if you pick something just fresh, look at all the light that's captivated in there. Now, why do you need things that have light in them? Well, because we are light energy, electrical magnetic beings called spirits. Before we get here, we get infused into the womb, and when we leave, we're the same thing again. You get it? You got to feed the spirit, baby. You feed the spirit, you heal the body. If you don't want to rot out, you feed the spirit. And to feed the spirit, you've got to have unconditional love for yourself and not believe. If you believe the BS that you're a sinner and that you've done something and you're going to go to hell, what crazy crap. You know the person that actually took their life and they had suicide? Do you want to know something? These psychos drove more teenagers and people to suicide in the last 3 years than in the last 20 years. They won't talk about that. And guess what? Oh, wait a minute. Who should go to hell? They should go to hell. Okay? Not the children, not the beautiful mother or the father that just opted out because they couldn't take it anymore. They didn't go to hell. What kind of God do you think we have? This is the kind of thing. And when I say that human beings are the greatest slaves, let me tell you something. Most relationships between man and wife, it's slavery. And you know why? They don't want it that way, but they've been so well programmed. Let's get back to eczema and psoriasis. That might be a little easier, right? So anyways, when these antibiotics go into your large intestine, which is the holy grail, if you were to look after your large intestine, it would look after your whole body. You know what? Forget about this, okay? Think about this, because if you actually look after your core, it's called your core, and for most of you, your core is on the floor, okay? And if it's not, your large intestine is got no tone left to it, so that means you have no tone left, and your immune system's just going to drop. So now we took the antibiotics, they went into the large intestine, atomic bomb goes off, and guess what? The good bacteria become bad bacteria. Oh my God, wait a minute, that can't be true, Daryl. I took those antibiotics to get rid of the bad bacteria. Yeah, and when you tried to destroy them, you didn't know that those bad bacteria were hanging out with the good guys too, and you just took their legs off. And what else did you do? Well, yeast is very important in the body. Go research it. Now, here's the deal. You took your yeast in your body, mainly in your large intestine, and turned it into what? Fungus. And guess what you did? Antibiotics have what I call the death vibe. When you took the antibiotics, you turned on the death vibe, and when you did that, you turned the yeast into fungus, and now the fungus is going to drill holes through your large intestine. Wow. Wow. You know what? I'll tell you something. I'm maybe not that smart, but I'm logical. You just need to just put the dots together and stop watching Netflix and stop freaking out and being so fearful. Are you ready? Okay. So now you turn the yeast into fungus, and that's called drill bit predators. How many people know about candidiasis, fungal problems? Well, you know, beautiful Claudine here, she had eczema, but now she has psoriasis. And the difference is just the scab is thicker. Oh, wow, there's a genius for you. It's just like when they say you've got arthritis, which just means you've got scar tissue, crystallization and calcification in your joint, which I could reverse in days to weeks. Do you understand that? Okay? We can do it. I'm giving a money-back guarantee. I don't see them giving a money-back guarantee. So now, guess what? So now we've got these drill bit predators. Have you ever walked into the woods and you saw a tree that was sick, or it fell down and it's dying? You saw all types of holes in it. What do you think, eh? Well, these holes are being drilled because guess what? You have to understand something, guys. I don't have parasites I don't have worms. I don't have bad bacteria taking my body over. I don't have fungal problems. And viruses, they're not even alive, so I don't even want to talk about that. Talk about the spell of ignorance, eh? So now, the yeast turns into fungus, and the fungus drills holes in poor Claudine, and now she's, look at everybody almost is pooping in their pelvis. Just know that, okay? Almost everybody is pooping in their pelvis. Let's see if I can get some light here. That's not going to work. Let me see. I don't know. We're going to have to suffer it out. I'm getting darker and darker, okay? So almost everybody is pooping in their pelvis. Well, you got to understand something. 90 to 92% of the population having an autoimmune disease. Okay, 86% of the population being overweight, and 40% of the population being obese. I mean, you know, I'm outnumbered. You know, I'm scared to go shopping. Okay, well, Whole Foods I might not be, but if I went to the regular mall, I'd scared to be going to a regular mall because I might get eaten. Okay, so the reality is this. So now these drill bit predators are drilling holes through beautiful Claudine's intestine. She doesn't even know it. So now we've got the poo particles, we got the bacteria, we got the parasites, but we've got the fungus now going into her bloodstream, and that's called systemic candidiasis. So what's that going to give you? Well, for Claudine, emotionally, she lets things get under her skin. And if she's got psoriasis, something got under her skin a long time ago. She could be in a relationship that she doesn't even want to be in, and her husband's getting under her skin, or their kids are getting under her skin, because guess what? She doesn't love herself enough, and she does way too much for her kids, and she despises her life, and that's gotten under her skin. But the reality is you take the antibiotics that turn the yeast into fungus, and you got the drill bit predators, and you got the things emotionally that you let get under your skin, and now we got a chronic problem, Claudine. And Claudine, my number's 469-861-8884, and if you want to come on live with me and tell me I'm wrong, or I'll do a full-blown consultation, which I usually charge $500 for, and I'll give it to you free because you deserve it, girl. Okay, and if you don't want to come on with me, then you can pay $150 to one of my master consultants. You're still going to get lifetime support and my 400-page manual on what you need to do in every instance, emotionally and physically in your life. Now, so guess what? So now guess what, everybody? That sinus problem, okay, that ear infection you have all the time, okay, all right, that vaginitis you have, that jock itch you have, the eczema, the psoriasis, okay, the toe fungus you have, okay, even the cancer. But cancer's not caused because of fungus. So let's make that perfectly clear. The fungus comes because the tissue integrity's down. Remember something, as Louis Pasteur said, the bug is nothing, the inner terrain is everything. The inner terrain is everything. So you guys go ahead. Why don't you just go to your medical doctors and you go to your naturopaths and go and do parasite cleanse? How about doing 4 or 5 of them a year? Or how about just learning the perfect day so you never ever have to deal with the parasites? Because it's always about tissue integrity. You know, I do a parasite cleanse. We don't do parasite cleanses. None of my people do. What we do is we teach them from the moment they rise until they close their eyes how to make beautiful, loving, emotional, physical, spirit decisions. When you feed your spirit and your vibration comes up, you're not low enough to get a worm, to get the bacteria, to get the fungus. You know what? When you hate yourself, when you're self-loathing, when you're jealous, when you're angry, when you're depressed, when there is no such thing as depression, you've had so much anxiety, you blew your brain out, and because your brain is only a computer, and it's only as smart as the programs that are run in it. Everybody, you know, you've always been taught that the brain's so important. You know, I remember when they said, oh my God, Einstein has the biggest brain, and he was the smartest guy. What moron said that? First of all, Einstein was getting the Nobel Prize, and they said, where's Einstein? Come up to get your Nobel Prize. You know what he said? Don't believe me. He said, where's Tesla? And I'm sure Tesla's brain was smaller than his. But the reality is this, everybody has a small brain because they put in stupid, okay, moronic beliefs into our head. Let me tell you something. There'll be people on here going, you know what he said? You know what he said? he's going to go to hell for that. Yeah, really? I'm the guy that's in heaven. I'm going to stay in heaven. Heaven is right now, right here, okay? And I own it. And you can believe in whatever you want to believe in. You can believe in the fear of God. Well, my God does not create any fear for me. So guess what? I'm off the hook, baby. So you need to know that. So I make it really clear for people, because guess what? Every week, okay, every week, it happens 2 or 3 times. Hello? Yes, this is Dr. Wolf. Dr. Wolf, I really want to come to you, but I heard that you're a born-again Christian. Are you still a born-again Christian? Or what religion are you? Because I need to know that before I come to you. Well, sweetie, I'll tell you what, okay? I am of the religion where no one is divided, and where no one is ostracized, and where no one is going to hell. If you'd like to come to us, you can just call my office and book an appointment. I need to let you understand something. I am over it, okay? We are going into the biggest challenging time, okay, in history. I'm 67 years old. There will never be a 7 years like this again. And for most of you, my heart goes out to you, and my prayers are with you, because you're not ready emotionally, because you actually believe in all these things. You don't know it, that it's the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds are fighting with other European communities and other Eastern communities, because it's all about their wealth. And you know what? Now we have to take on a whole new financial system, because the greedy bankers, okay, have had their way, because the Rothschilds feed off of the suffering of the whole planet. They love the suffering of the children and the adults. Doesn't matter what your age is. You know, you can go into Whole Foods right here if you want, and you can poison yourself in Whole Foods too. And you can go anywhere. You know, you got to be alert. You know, the food that you bought yesterday that only had 3 ingredients in it, you know what, is going to be bought up by BlackRock, because they own almost all the supermarket chains in North America now. Okay, so where am I getting to on this one? Well, I'm going to tell you where I'm getting to. I'm going to Jim Gale's tomorrow, Food Forest Abundance. And if you go to Path to Freedom.farm, you can watch it on live. He has really great speakers coming. It's from 11 until 11 tomorrow night. I'll be coming on here, and I'll be interviewing some people. I'm going to do as much as I possibly can to share the information with you. But I need you to understand something, okay? I had a good talk with God today, and he said you're all off the hook, okay? He said you're all off the hook, and he also wants you to know that you were never on the hook, okay? You let people's BS belief systems put you on the hook. Now, if you believe that you need to suffer, you go right ahead. And understand something too, and I love you so much. And you know what? Why don't you check around? Go door to door. Go religion to religion, okay? And find out that if you did this in one household, you got off the hook. If you did it in another household, you could have had your hand cut off, okay? You could have been locked up in the cellar, okay? You could have been punished for 10 years or banished from the family. So understand something. Everybody's got their own bullshit beliefs, baby. And you want to know what mine is? Unconditional love for me and for you. And whether you love me or care for me, I love you anyway. Because if I didn't, I would be a slave. So, you know, it's like this. It doesn't matter. You know, you can go ahead and just go along with the majority. They're being sold off by the pound right now. Or you can stand up for yourself and look for your authentic self. And guess what? You are going to come up against a lot of BS, baby. You watch. When you start to break away from the herd, when you start to bring your vibration up, you know, people are going to go, you're selfish. And do you know what that means when they say that? That means you stop it. You live our lives. What do you think? You're too good for us? Our food's too good for you? Okay? This is it. So guess what? We have been programmed to humiliate the ones we love and care for when they decide not to buy into our BS, our belief systems. Let me tell you something. I've got thousands of practitioners, and I'll be teaching thousands more. And they all have different belief systems. I only have one thing that I teach them, and that they need to have unconditional love for themselves. And if they don't have that, then they will never be the light that they need to be to help to heal. And you know what? We all want to heal each other. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to tell you this, and you're not going to like this. 99 out of 100 practitioners, even natural health, they will never, ever hit their goal because unless they let themselves off the hook, unconditionally love themselves, bring their vibration up, nothing is going to change. Your personality creates your reality. I hope you get that. And in this life, I go through life feeling my way through. I'm not telling you I'm an empath. Oh, I feel everything. Well, I do feel everything. And if you come to my course, I can read people like a book. That's my God-given talent. And guess what? I'm going to tell you something. The reason why I have it, because I go in with non-judgment. And I'm going to tell you something right now. It's not true what you think about you unless you have 100% love for you. And if your family and your friends in this world doesn't let you off the hook, well, they can bugger off. Okay? You come and you find us. We're called Braveheart Nation. Okay? You know, one of my staff called me up. And this is a true story, just an hour ago. Hey, Daryl, I got to tell you something. And I don't want you to be mad at me. Now, this is an adult saying it to me, right? Because, you know, people always think that, you know, I'm so good. I'm not. I'm not so good. I just want to love my life, and I want to love everybody with my heart and soul. And you know what? It's not like I want to disrespect the medical system. I don't hate them, but guess what? They're not part of my life. And I know that the Rothschilds think that we're ants. You know what that is? Allowing negative thoughts, and we're not worth crap. Okay, you didn't notice how they start wars and they just blow things up? You didn't notice how they're poisoning the water, the air, the food? You didn't notice that? You didn't notice that they get off on that? Okay, you didn't notice that? Wake up. Please wake up. But people aren't going to wake up. You know, I'd say that, you know, 1 out of 1,000 truly wake up. 1 out of 100 kind of get it. You know what I mean? People say to me, oh, people are waking up right now. Really? They're not waking up until they totally unconditionally love themselves. And that's what Jesus wanted to teach. Jesus wanted to teach unconditional love. Jesus was murdered for unconditional love. That's what he was murdered for. He didn't die for my sins. I wasn't even here yet. Don't give me that stuff. Not going for it. So if you don't want to spend your money with me, you don't want to be on this platform anymore, don't come on the platform. I get it because I'm irritating you, okay? But I'm going to tell you something right now. If we don't come together as a family, I'm telling you right now, there is no division for me. You can like me, hate me, I love you anyway. You can love me, it's okay. Love me, don't love me. I'm going to love you anyway because I know that that is the pathway to freedom. The pathway to freedom is that, okay? Judge not, saith the Lord. And understand something. I've seen a lot of people with a lot of religion do a lot of judging and a lot of murdering and a lot of killing and a lot of poisoning. You'll never ever see that from me, ever. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm going to give it my best shot while I'm here. Right now, I'm almost feeling emotional because I'm going to give it my best shot because I know that there is a heavenly God and it's the highest vibration in the universe. It created the universe. And you actually think in this infinite universe that we've got somebody there looking down on us, judging what we do when we came to a life-threatening experience that I'm serious. The minute that before you even get here, you know, it's a dangerous place. I mean, you know, take a look at this. The most operation that's now done in the United States is cesareans. And women are actually planning their cesareans so that they don't miss an event. You know, I mean, it's like we've lost it. We've totally lost it. I'm going to tell you something. My name is Daryl Wolf. And I'll tell you right now, I do know how to become, how to not become, but how to create the most powerful practitioners on this planet. And the first weapon is that I teach them as unconditional love for themselves, and then they shine that light on people. But understand something, my strategies are the most powerful. Whether you're talking, okay, You're talking a hemorrhoid or all the way to stage 4 inflammation, which they call cancer. I cure nothing. I can cure nothing. But what I can do is give people strategies, and I can give them techniques and routine. But what I'm going to teach them is that which created the universe has never done anything except it hasn't loved you, because that which created the universe would never do the love thing. Because guess what? Love is just an ingredient. And who wants that anyways? I don't want people's love. I don't want anybody's love. Most people's love is so contaminated. The way you feel about yourself, the way you treat yourself is the way that you love others. And most people only love others because you can't live without oxygen. And guess what? They feel like they're dying inside. So, they'll do anything. They will compromise themselves. They'll eat anything. They'll drink anything. They'll be abused just to have somebody love them. That is not this guy. And we don't teach this. And that's it right there. So, check out my Braveheart Nation. Okay. This isn't a sales pitch. All right. My whole life coach courses, I believe, is the best on the planet. All right. And I give them money back on that, just as we give them money back on our perfect day. We give them money back on our Wolf Non-Surgical, the first treatment you come. If it doesn't outshine anything you've ever got and doesn't make you feel like we're going to be able to reverse that condition, we'll give you your money back. Let people try to talk bad about me. Okay? How many people are so religious and have so much faith that they'll go out and murder someone? I will never do that. I will never hurt anyone. And the only way I could hurt you is if you come on my platform and you didn't like something. And that's the way it always is. If your belief doesn't match mine, then guess what? Then I can go blah, blah, blah. Right? Isn't that it? Because guess what? You don't realize that your brain is 90% of your subconscious, and you didn't even think about what I said. You just said it didn't match what you believe, so I can go jump off a cliff. Well, guess what? I'm not going to. All right? But I'm going to love you anyway. The reality is this: your beliefs don't have to match mine. Mine don't have to match yours. And why can't we just love each other? Well, because we don't love ourselves. And that's the God's truth. So yes, human beings make the best slaves in the world, don't they? And that's the truth. Let me see. I have breast cancer. Yes. Well, you don't have to have breast cancer. Understand that. Nobody has to have any of this. And if I told you already that, what goes on from your mouth to your rectum, those 30 feet are going to decide, okay, what's going on in your life. So, and what's going on right here is the biggest thing. The invisible becomes the physical. The psychological rules the biological, and it's always going to remain that way. And here's the deal: you need to feel your way through life. Don't think it, because all of you are programmed. I was programmed. We were all programmed. We have had hundreds of thousands of years of programming. It didn't happen yesterday. Okay? All right? We've been enslaved since the beginning of Earth. And if you think somebody's coming to save you, you're crazy. You need to save yourself. Start by smiling, a slight smile on your face. Walk through your day and be the Braveheart hero you're searching for. Connect to your Lionheart breath, 6 seconds in, 7 seconds out. When you feel like you're going to react and attack someone, touch your heart. There's a God spot in there. Just touch it, and I promise you. And then breathe in 6 seconds, 7 seconds out, and do it 1 to 3 times. And guess what? You are not going to talk to that person for at least 2 to 3 breaths, and now you don't have to clean up a mess and feel hurt for something you said. We got to stop walking around being hurt. Somebody says I have Bell's palsy. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you something. Everybody needs to, you got a chronic illness. If you don't look at my library and go into the ionic calcium guide in my library, Doc of Detox library, start there. Look at, guys, do not be scared to call me. You talk to anybody who calls me, okay? I love you already. My phone number is 469-861-8884. You can call it on WhatsApp or direct. Or you can call me on my 800 number, 855-900-4544 extension 5. I just spent 4 hours driving and calling back people. You got to understand something. You mean everything to me. You need to mean everything to you. You have to understand that you matter. Your questions matter. You know, this is why I have live people. They're master consultants that answer my phone. No one else answers my phone except master consultants that have taken my courses 3 times, okay, so they can help you. They're not going to charge you if you've got some questions. And then if you opt in for a consultation, it's $150. Who does that and then gives lifetime support? Understand, it's not a sales pitch. That's not going to make me rich. I'm rich already. And you can be rich too. Understand something. They've wanted to limit our love. They've wanted to limit our finances. I want to ask you a question right now. When you got out of grade 12 or grade 13, did you know how to eat, drink, or think? Did you know how to love yourself or another person? No. But guess what? You were starving for love, weren't you? Because you didn't know how to love yourself. And guess what? Oh, that would break all the rules. So guess what? You fell in love with someone. And then guess what? You fed off each other. There's Lori. Say, hi, Lori.
Hi.
Anyway, she's got the goods. And we're going to go home now. And we're going to make supper. So anyways, just remember this. What you think matters. And everything in your life, you'll always have an image before you have a thought. Dr. Wolf's a dick. So guess what? Now you had an image of what? Oh. See, you got to understand something, guys. Everything that you think, you have an image before it. Okay? You have an image before it. So you better start focusing on what you want in your life. Do not focus on what you don't want. Did you ever notice that everybody's focusing on what they don't want? They're talking about what they don't want. And people with chronic illnesses, I hope you know, they have chronic illnesses because they focus on their chronic illness. Did you ever notice that somebody who's depressed is always talking about their depression? Somebody who's angry is always talking about how everybody makes them angry? Okay. Did you ever notice that happy people don't talk about it? They just are? Okay. You might want to think about that. Did you ever notice that people that are exhausted and tired all the time are always talking about how exhausted and tired they are? Okay. So just remember something. We are spirit beings. We are unbelievable miracles of the universe. And when we get infused into this body, okay, right away we had to dumb down somewhat because physical is having to dumb down somewhat. But guess what? You get really dumbed down by going to school. You go to school for 12 years. School, you didn't learn anything, and you know that. You came out of school and you barely knew anything. So let's just, you know, the socializing was great. You know, I wouldn't have made it through grade 12 if I couldn't smoke a joint at every break time. When I was grade 11 and grade 12, I had to smoke a joint, you know, just to get through it, right? And it really didn't matter if I was stoned because I learned about the same thing. But I had a lot of fun with my friends. So the reality is this, is that you need to become the genius that you always want to be. Well, you got to dust off your passion and your purpose, and you got to go out there and get it. And you cannot care what people think. And do not tell your family, do not tell your friends unless they got your back and that they've got big imaginations. You think about what you left behind, okay? And go off and go back and get it. And that would be your authentic self. Anyways, I think I rattled on too long. What do you think? See, she's laughing at me. Okay? Okay. All right. Well, thanks for joining me. And just remember something, that the majority of the population is always going to be enslaved. Okay? The majority of the population is always going to eat crap. Okay? The majority of the population is always going to go, let's celebrate. And when they do, they're going to poison each other and their family, you know. And every time the majority of the population says, let's have a party, okay, they're going to poison each other. That's what they're always going to do. And I'm going to tell you something right now. In the whole scope of things in the universe, we are low vibrational beings. And I believe that we have to earn the right to become the light. And the reality is until you're going to unconditionally stand up for yourself, okay, and say no to those things and say yes to you, okay? And you ladies, you've got a really bad problem coming because most men are so stubborn and they fear you really shining your light and really finding out yourself, okay? Because men were taught to control women for the last 5,000 years. So women, you know, the reality is you're beautiful, but you need to unleash your feminine power. And you men, Okay? I don't know where you are. I don't know where you are. I haven't got a clue where you are. You're probably trying to join a war or something so you can become a hero. And the reality is guess what? You need to stay at home and become the hero, because your job doesn't start until you get home every night. That's where your job starts. And you should be protecting that household against chemicals and poisons, the invisible and the physical. And you should be the hero to your children and to your wife. And that's it. And I'm saying good night. Have a great night, Bravehearts. And oh, we do have our Black Friday Shine the Light sale. Well, wouldn't I call it that, right? Okay, so 3, 2, 1. I am healed. I am love. I am Braveheart. Today and every day, from the moment I rise until I close my eyes, I will love, honor, respect, protect myself first and foremost before anyone else or anything else. So help me God. Because I am, I can, I am healed. That's the only way you're going to be a hero. You're only going to be a hero when you hold the line with your family, your friends, and the rest of the world, and you teach them that guess what? You're not going to buckle. You are going to love yourself and care for yourself. And guess what? Then it will become the right infection. Okay? How about an infection that was created from affection? Good night, everyone.